Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. This evening we look at the life of Sayyidina Abu Ayoob al-Ansari radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam had left Makkah to al-Mukarramah because he was forced out of Makkah by the kuffar, and he traveled towards Madinatul Munawwarah, and he first stopped in Quba, which is outside Madinatul Munawwarah, and he resided there for a few days. And it was in those days that the Masjid of Quba was built, the first Masjid of the Deen of Islam. After which Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam then proceeded towards Yathrib, which was that time, it was known by that name, and later it became Madinatul Munawwarah. As Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was entering into Yathrib, the various leaders from the Ansar were all desirous that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stop by their home and that he stays within their home. And as Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had mounted his camel and he was proceeding into the city, different people wanted to hold on to the reins of his camel to pull him to their house. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told them, "Da'uhu fa innaha ma'muratun." Leave her, she has been given an instruction, meaning that she will stop where she's been instructed to stop. As the camel was passing people's homes, they were becoming optimistic, and when the camel eventually passed their home and it turned out that they were not to be the host of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they became despondent. Nevertheless, the camel stops in an open land next to the home of Abu Ayoob Ansari radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. He is totally elated. This is the best thing that could possibly happen to him. He has a double-story home. So he tells Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that, "Oh Nabi Allah, you stay at the bottom and I will stay on top." In fact, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had suggested, but then he feels uncomfortable that he is on top. And the night he passes, he keeps having thoughts that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is at the bottom, I'm on top. How can I be above the Nabi of Allah? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Jibreel comes to him, Wahi comes to him. What if I'm in a barrier between him and his Wahi? And these types of thoughts come to him all the time, that he hardly sleeps the entire night. The next morning he comes to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and says, "Oh Nabi Allah, why don't you move to the top? It's more appropriate." So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says that I have a lot of people coming to visit me, and that is why I prefer to be at the bottom. The next night, Abu Ayoob al-Ansari passes on top, but then his bucket of water that he has falls over. And the water is spreading and he fears that it's going to go through to the bottom and harm Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he takes his only sheet that he has and he soaks up the water. Him and Ansari did not sleep for the entire night. They narrate the story to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Fine, if that is what you want, I will move to the top." Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stays with them for about 7 months. Eventually the land next to the Abu Ayoob al-Ansari's home is purchased from some orphans, or it is said that the Yemeni king Tubba, who passed by many years before this and learnt about Muhammad, had purchased this land and had bequeathed it for him. Anyway, Masjid Nabawi is built, and adjacent to that there are some rooms. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam then moves into those rooms, and Abu Ayoob al-Ansari remains the neighbor of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It is said that on one occasion, at a rather unique time, maybe mid-morning, Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu comes out of his house. And it is sheer hunger that brings him out of his house. While he's outside of his house, he comes to the masjid. Sayyidina Umar also comes out. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr asks him that, "What is it that has brought you out at this time?" And he says, "It's hunger." And Sayyidina Abu Bakr says, "The very thing that brought you out is the thing that brought me out." And while the two of them are thinking about how they're going to fill their bellies, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also comes out of his home. And when they speak to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they say, "Oh Nabi Allah, what has brought you out?" It turns out that hunger also brought Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam out of his home. All of them are hungry. Can you imagine the condition in Madinatul Munawwarah? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam then goes to the home of Abu Ayoob al-Ansari. And as he comes to the home, the wife of Abu Ayoob al-Ansari, Ummi Ayoob al-Ansari, welcomes Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked, where is Abu Ayoob? And she says he's in some date palms, taking care of the garden. And while Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is talking to the lady, the husband immediately hears the voice of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and comes forth and responds. And then he asked the question of Nabi of Allah, what is it that brings you to our home at this rather unique time? And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, it is nothing but hunger. He immediately starts making arrangements. He breaks a branch from the tree. On the branch there is wet dates, there's dry dates, and there's half-ripe dates. He gives it to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Umar start to eat from those dates. After that he takes the knife with the intention to go slaughter an animal. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tells him, don't slaughter an animal that is giving milk. He slaughters a billy goat, and his wife starts to prepare the bread. Half the goat is roasted and half is cooked. When a portion is presented to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's first thought goes to his own daughter, Sayyidah Fatima, says, take this to her home. She hasn't eaten for days. After this, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself consumes, and once he had consumed to his fill, the same with Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Umar, after which Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stops for a moment, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam ponders, and he starts to weep, and he says that these are the bounties that we will be questioned about. These are the bounties that we will be questioned about. Dry dates, wet dates, half-ripe dates, meat that is cooked, meat that is roasted, bread. Allah will question us as to how we've eaten this, and He will question as to how we've utilized the bounties. And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, whoever begins with Bismillah and says in the end, Alhamdulillah alladhi huwa ashba'ana wa arwa'na wa an'ama alayna wa afdal. If you read that dua, then you will not be questioned about the bounty of the food that Allah has granted you. So we have so much to be concerned about, that how will we answer? Sometimes we ask ourselves that, are we fasting or are we feasting? I met one non-Muslim, and the person says, oh, it's your fast month, the month where you eat all the nice food. A month where we're not supposed to be eating, yet some people think that it's a month of delicacies and feasting. Abu Ayoob al-Ansari had a great love for participating in jihad, and it's for that reason that he participated in every battle from the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam right through all the khilafats of all the Khulafai Rashidin. And it was in the time of Amir Muawiyah, where Sayyidina Muawiyah had sent his son Yazid on a naval expedition to conquer Constantinople, which is Istanbul. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, لَتُفْتَحُنَّ قُسْطُنْطِنِيَّةً فَنِعْمَ الْأَمِيرُ وَنِعْمَ الْجَيْشِ. That you will certainly conquer Constantinople. What an amazing Amir, what an amazing army. And that was the words of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Sahaba knew that the words of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will always come to be a reality. And every army tried that we want to conquer Constantinople so that we can gain that virtue that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam spoke about. But it wasn't to be. For hundreds of years, different armies tried and they couldn't get close. Anyway, the army of Yazid goes very, very close. And while the army is making its way towards the city, Abu Ayoob al-Ansari, who is 80 years old, is part of that army. And he's now become very ill and he's on his last. Sayyidina Yazid comes to him and says that, how are you? How can I assist you? What do you want? He says that, my only advice at this time is to tell the Muslim army that they should go deep into the battle and fight the enemy with all their might and with all they have. And I'm on my last, when I pass away, then carry my body as far as possible into the ranks of the enemy, so that that be my hallmark, the desire to fulfill the prophecy of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and to show my love for jihad in the path of Allah. He passes away, and after he passes away, they carry his body right close to the walls of the fort of Constantinople. And now when you go to Istanbul now, you'll find that his maqbara, his grave is in the actual city. I had the opportunity of visiting his maqbara twice. Alhamdulillah, beautiful, serene place. When you go there, you can feel the peace and the tranquility of this great Sahabi. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate his position and reward him abundantly. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khairi khalqi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.